What's up, everybody? We are live on Adobe Radio, another wonderful episode of Wesam's World with your host, me, Wesam. Hello, everybody. Big welcome to Peyton Grufik, our producer, and our other producer, Alexandra Gorski. Welcome, everybody.
Whoa, a big welcome.
Wow, yeah, that's a first.
Yeah, I thought it'd be nice to introduce the actual team. We've been getting a lot of questions about that.
Trying to look good in front of your guest?
Hey, man. Yeah, actually, I am trying to look good in front of my guest and in front of the world.
Oh.
Maybe you should have wore a better shirt if you're trying to look good in front of me.
Holy shit.
Slam.
Damn.
Oh,
Already.
what just
Coming in
happened?
hot.
First of all, Mike,
Hi.
I was going to do a wonderful intro for you.
Yeah, you don't have to.
And I guess I have to now so that people know what kind of person I'm talking to today. Mike Pecci is a wonderful director. He is famous or infamously known that if you want to watch his films, you have to ask permission for.
Yep.
He was a nice guy the last time he was on here. And this time, I'm not so sure. And also, who hurt you between last time and now?
Well, dude, it's twice. I'm honored to be on the show twice, but second time around, I got to keep it interesting.
Fair. Also, second, yes, I know this has... It's a tank top with holes in it. I get it. I was burning up today.
Yeah, dude, I went out of my way too, because normally I'd have on layers and do this whole thing, and then I'm like, fuck, I'm wearing a fucking t-shirt today. I don't care.
But bro, summer is here.
Yeah.
And it's hot.
And it's the worst time if you're a guy over the age of 25, right? Summer is like the worst look for dudes. It's shorts, t-shirts, tiny shorts, t-shirts. My fiance's like, don't wear cargo shorts. Not cool. It's hard.
I think I've given up on trying to look cool. My brothers both make fun of me for my style choices, and frankly, I just don't care anymore. I really don't care.
Yeah. Okay.
So, thanks for coming on.
You're welcome. Yeah.
Real quick before we get the show going, I'm gonna take a quick swig of Magic Mind. I love it. I actually notice a nice difference every time I take it. I could formulate sentences a little bit better. It needs to kick in. It needs a minute to kick in. Shut up, Alex. Shut up, Peyton. Okay? I'm not going to let you guys bully me like you did last week with Hanako, okay? Okay? I'm standing up for myself right now. Men's mental health. That was one of the things I brought you on to talk about, and that's what we're going to talk about.
Okay. All right.
No. First of all,
Hi.
I want to say this to you, face to face. One of the reasons I brought you back on was whenever you were on the last time, I was going through a really rough time personally, and I was absolutely exhausted when you came on the show. I felt honestly a little embarrassed of myself because I feel I wasn't able to kick it into high gear with you, and I really wanted to make up for it in this go around.
I appreciate that. I didn't really notice that you were off your game,
I did, and I didn't like that, and I was like, damn. And so that's one of the reasons I'm bringing you back on. Nice. I'm kind of glad that happened because I was able to ask you permission to watch 12 Kilometers, your Russian film, which is about 30 minutes?
Yeah. It's like 27. Yeah, just about 30. Yeah.
So specific. I love it.
You got to be specific, especially with the fucking film festivals. Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
It's all in Russian.
Yeah.
You don't speak Russian.
No.
Huh?
No, I don't speak Russian. No, I don't. Yeah, I did it because I hate when you watch an American-made movie and they're like, hey, this takes place in Russia, like a studio movie. Hey, this takes place in Russia, and it's like British people putting on like bad Russian accents. And you're just like, how does that make any sense? And I think the coolest cheesy movie that did it right was 13th Warrior with Antonio Banderas. Remember that one?
That's one of my favorite films.
Yeah. So like when he's like in the beginning in the credits and he's sort of, Antonio Banderas is like in with these Vikings and he can't understand them and then he's just sort of listening and every once in a while you hear a word and suddenly the Vikings start to speak English like halfway through and you're like, okay, that works kinda. But no. With this one, since I was pretty much self-financing it and I was a fucking boss, since I was the boss, I went, I'll do whatever I want. And so we did it in Russian.
I got to say, I appreciate that a lot because there's some things that only people who've grown up in the Russian culture or the Russian zeitgeist in terms of their mannerisms will be able to do. It's going to be very difficult for somebody non-Russian to just the little intricacies of being a Russian construction miner in that
Sure,
time, right?
sure.
Or a professor that only they're going to do,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I appreciate that greatly because I watch shows from multiple different countries and you get a different vibe. For instance, Korean dramas on Netflix, highly recommend.
I
They,
love them. Yeah.
they let you marinate in the scenes, which I love.
Yep.
I've watched Arabic comedies,
Interesting.
stylized. Oh my gosh, there's stuff like you couldn't teach somebody non-Arabic to do them because they're very niche in terms of the region they're telling the stories from.
Sure.
And British shows, Japanese shows, it just goes on, and so that's something I think you hit out of the park with that.
Well, dude, I'm not going to take credit for all that. I mean, part of being a good director is you know to surround yourself with people who know more than you do. And so with this, I knew that, well, let me be completely transparent, right? So I was self-financing this movie. I shot this movie back in Boston. So I created Russia back in Boston. And the acting pool in Boston isn't that great. If you're a great actor that is in that city, you end up moving to Los Angeles. Like if you get your legs or if you've been in one of my movies out there, they suddenly then jettison out here and get an agent. They're gone. So my whole worry and concern was that I knew what the acting pool was at that time. And I went, well, look, if I do it in Russian, then maybe the U.S. audience will sort of give it a pass. So if someone isn't a great actor, at least they're doing it in a different language. And the audience may just go like, maybe this is how people are in Russia. What happened was I actually got access to some really great actors because most Russians in the Northeast are all typecast. They're usually like the gangsters or the dude that drives the car. And so since I was able to put it out there with these rich characters, I had the best of the best. Like the guy Ernst Zorin, who played the professor, he died a few years ago, but he was amazing.
Oh, wow.
Huge stage actor from Russia. Like he's like Al Pacino from Russia. And we got him. We got him to do this little fucking movie. And he didn't speak a lick of English. And he showed up and him and I, it was interesting. Him and I had a couple of situations where he had to test me. He's like, you know, who's this fucking American kid that is doing a movie in Russian? And
What happened? I want to know one of these tests.
So one of the things I had to do, so I wrote a script from my perspective, which is, you know me now. I'm kind of a little bit cynical. I'm kind of a little bit sarcastic about shit. And that does not translate well into Russian. So like sarcasm is really tough to translate into the Russian language and to understand. Like, and so what I did is I worked hard with Ara, who is the lead in 12 Cam, who also speaks Russian, and he translated the entire script for me. He also ran the casting sessions with me. So we went to New York and did casting sessions out of New York. And I told him, do the entire casting session in Russian. Like, do the whole thing in Russian. I don't want to be able to understand what anybody's saying. And just sort of introduce me as the American director that's in the back of the room, but you run the entire casting session. Because I wanted to watch people from an American perspective that did know the language and see if I was still fascinated with these people, not knowing what they were saying, because that's how most people would watch the movie. And this interesting sort of method became almost like it was like a silent film production, right? Because now I'm focused on blocking, I'm focused on body chemistry, the volleying of energy between two actors, like all that stuff is like what my focus was. Because how do I make a movie that's interesting to watch without subtitles? And then if I do put subtitles on it, it's extra, because most people hate reading subtitles. Most people hate it. And so, or at least at that time, I feel like it gets better now with Netflix, and it's sort of changed a little bit. So on set, we did everything in Russian, and I had two translators. I had a translator to tell me what someone said, and I had a translator to tell me if that person was lying about what someone said. So it was like two translators all the time. And one of the translators was this really nice, I forget her name. It was years ago that we did this. Very small girl who was running the translation between me and the professor. And the professor was just pissed at me. And he's just got this whole thing where he's just mad, he's pacing, and then she's translating it to me, and he's like, he just doesn't think that this is what a Russian man would do. He just doesn't understand sarcasm. He didn't understand a lot of the sarcasm stuff. He just doesn't get it, just doesn't understand it. And I was trying to go through the process of having a translator and go like, well, just understand that this is sarcasm and this will tie into this and this means something with this. And she's like, he just doesn't get it. And I was getting annoyed. So a good moment as a director. I said to her, like, do me a favor. Just translate this verbatim. And she goes, okay. I go, tell him to do it because I fucking said so. And so then she does. She turns to him and she goes, and then she delivers to him. And suddenly you see his face change. And he goes, and I go, yeah. And he goes, and then he walked away and she goes, he respects you now. And so there was this moment of him needing to feel like there was someone that was driving the ship, him needing someone that had like a pure vision and pure thing. And it was weird. It was wild. So,
Wow. Well, good thing you did that.
yeah. I know that story was all over the place, but yeah.
No. I got it.
So do it because I fucking said so. Yeah.
Well, there. First of all, the opening shot of it, I love good blocking and good camera direction and movement. And so when you're following, is it the professor or
Ara? Yeah.
Ara in the beginning, going through the construction site, everybody's moving along. It feels real.
Yeah.
It feels like it's a real place. You also do this wonderful thing with the lighting. Who was your DP for this?
David Cruda.
Okay.
So David Cruda is my visual wife. Like he's basically like the two of us have become like this sort of hive-brained creative powerhouse when it comes to the visuals.
Yeah.
So he gets a lot of credit when it comes to the movie.
Well, now that I've seen a few of your films, I realize you love the extreme close-ups as well.
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know if we talked about this on the last show. Maybe I talked about this on our podcast with Lance. I see, I've sort of come to realize this the older I get. I'm a person that is hyper-focused on details and spaces. I've always been that way. And so a weird little side story on this is that a few years ago, I went back to the house I grew up in, which I moved out of with the family right after high school. Mm-hmm. And I went back to this house on the street, and I was less focused on the house itself, but I went there to just sort of feel what the chain link fence felt like when I would walk to school. Like I went there to see like the cracks in the pavement and to hear the trees and the bark. And like, I realized that there are all these different details that I always take in no matter where I go. Like if I come in your space, I'm looking at details. Like it's just part of what I do. And those details are what are, they define my memories for locations and people, realistically.
Mm. We got to take a quick break, but I want to continue this when we're back. Mm-hmm. We'll be right back. And we are back. That's really interesting. Walking the places you walked as like a child or you grew up in. I did that recently in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of a thing.
It felt like I was in a dream, if you will.
Yeah. Oh, weird. Why?
Because I hadn't walked down that. There's a bus stop that I have.
Sure.
As a kid growing up.
Yeah.
And down you're at the corner of the neighborhood or whatever, inside the neighborhood still, but then there's like this little sidewalk that goes in between two houses, goes to this green belt.
Okay.
That's by this creek too. Had never, I would walk down it, go to the green belt as a kid, but decades have passed. And when I visited Oklahoma this last time, I was like, oh my God, this is, I used to walk down this. And I told my brothers to stop the car. I got out. I ran down the sidewalk into the green belt. And I was like, as I was running, I was like, oh, this doesn't feel real right now. It feels like I am
in a dream
because the last time I experienced this was as a kid.
Yeah.
So do you feel anything like that when you've gone back? And
yeah, because it's weird, right? Because you're referencing a point in time where, first off, I'm like almost 6 foot now, so I was shorter then, right? And so I see things differently. I'm from a different perspective at that point in time. So like when you go there, it just seems slightly different, slightly off. And then really it's just these details, man. It's like tactile stuff. Like if I go to sleep and dream about the park that we used to go to with my aunt, I'm not thinking about like a wide shot of the park. It isn't like this epic sprawling thing. It's like the sound of I know the sound of the chains on the swings, and I know the rust that was on that, and I know what it sounded like when we would hit the posts with sticks and like that ring out, or like the way that the grass grew around fence posts, or like if you ran around without your shoes on, like what the contrast between grass and pavement felt like those things are, the things that you think about when you're processing it later. And those are the things that, at least with me, they come to me in dreams. So it's like if I'm, you ever have a dream where you start to fall into like a familiar memory, and it's not like you saw an image that you're like, oh shit, that was, when I played PlayStation when I was a kid, but like it's usually like a smell or some sort of like cerebral memory that kicks in. And it's that stuff is usually triggered by like smell, sight, lighting, sound, that kind of thing. It's never, for me at least, it's not like here's a perfect, Polaroid of what this memory is. It's always that. And I think trying to translate that into film is fascinating, because you're essentially trying to drive these images into an audience. You're trying to drive those memories into an audience. And I think that with my love of macro and my love of close-ups and also my love of sound, and a lot of my sound is macro, I think what I'm subconsciously doing, if I had to look back and over-theorize on this shit, is that I'm just trying to force these memories into the audience so that they feel them again.
Did we talk about this last time? Please remind me. I feel like you're the type of person who is extremely detailed-oriented, but when do you go, okay, the sound is done? Okay, when do you know, like, okay, the color correction is done and the editing is done? Okay, this is the final product. Because
sure,
I get the instinctual feeling that sometimes you're constantly tweaking, and maybe you're like...
I used to be.
Okay.
Like these days, I'm a little bit, maybe too much so in the other direction. Like, I think my fiance, who's also in the business, she gives me shit. She's like, "That's when you're done," and I go, "Come on," It's just, I'm not. It's not that I'm less precious with it, but I just sort of give myself deadlines where I go like, I'm going to be done by this point. And realistically, if I get to that point and I go, obviously I'm not done. So I'm going to give myself another point and I'll be done by this point. But I try to keep my mental sanity that way. So, because you can, man, in the world of like Photoshop tweaks and these days tweaking on everything, like I can draw sounds, like you can do all sorts of crazy stuff. So, you can drive yourself nuts, man. And you could just end up so deep in the weeds. And then what happens is you get to on such a micro level with everything. You're like, no one's even going to give a shit about this. Like this, why am I so deep in this? And so the trick when you're making movies is you're always trying to reset your perspective, always. And sometimes that just means like literally turning your chair and then looking at it again. And sometimes that means like getting up and going for a walk. Sometimes that means bringing someone new into the studio space to watch it with you. Sometimes that means like watching some other shit for a while and then going to watch your stuff. I mean, you just constantly trying to reset your perspective so that way you're getting the freshest take on it. And cut your shit off, because the audience doesn't give, like, the amount of shit that you toil over that the audience just doesn't care about. They're just like, you're like, I spent forever and look how cool the color on that fucking highlight is, and they're just like, what?
Yeah.
And if they're focused on that, that means my story sucks. So
True. Yeah. Well, speaking of mental sanity, I've seen you post a couple times, more than a couple times, some reviews of your stuff, and I gotta ask why.
I love doing it. I love doing it.
You kill me with it, because I'll see some of it. I'll be like, some of it's like good reviews. I'm like, okay, that's awesome. And then some of it's like a really shitty like person writing stuff, and I'm like, oh man, he's going after them with this one. Okay.
Yeah. I love it. I mean, look, the truth is, we talked about it when I was on the show before. I'm an older brother, and so like, how do I say this without sounding like a prick?
Impossible.
Yeah. I don't care. I mean, like, there sort of hits a point where I know what's wrong with my movie. I know what's wrong with my movie. And if I get to a point where I've given myself a cutoff point and I go, there's no more money, there's no more time, I can't bring back someone from the dead and reshoot something. So this is it. So we're good. And so I've come to Jesus with the shit that's wrong with it. And so I think at that point, no one can hurt me. Like if someone's like, I don't like, the outfit, the continuity of the outfit. I go, yeah, I fucking know. Like, don't you think I know? I've looked at this for thousands of hours. And I felt confident enough to go, no one really gives a shit except for you crazy fucking loser out in the middle of nowhere that is writing something.
Well, here's my respectful, I don't want to say devil's advocate to that, but
Sure.
Are they saying it in a way where, because listen, everybody's entitled to an opinion, correct? And
in 2024, everybody's got one, yeah.
yeah, and so are they doing it in a way where, because I think there's a fine line between just attacking someone, you know what I mean, and being brutal with the feedback, and then like an actual honest review. Would you say there's a difference between those two?
There's 100% difference between those two.
Okay.
And if someone has I tend to love to showcase the people. Imagine, right? Imagine like you're making a dinner.
Okay.
Right? You're putting on a meal.
Mm-hmm.
You spend all night, and the idea is that you're going to make some beautiful beef stroganoff or whatever it is, right? And so you go out to do it, and it turns out you couldn't get the fresh ground beef that you wanted. You ended up having to get some frozen burnt shit from Trader Joe's. You work real hard to work your way around whatever flavor's coming off that second-rate meat that's there, right? And so then you invite some people over to the house, and you make it a fun situation where you're like, not everybody can come to the house. I'm going to invite some people, and would you like to come? Yeah, okay, great. So you show up. Hi, I'm making you a meal. And you go through the whole process. You hand someone a fucking plate, or even worse, the people that I usually give shit to are the people that are like maybe second or third in line, and they go, I should be first in line to get that plate. I'm like, this isn't even your fucking house, dude. And then they get the plate of food, and then they start to pick the plate of food apart before they even eat it. And they go, well, that's disrespectful. That's disrespectful. And then they go through the process of eating it and go, this is shit. And they put it down on the table. And then you just go, have you ever engaged with other people in real life? And they have. And the thing that I find fascinating is that it's just the internet. The internet is the same. To me, the internet is like driving in a new car with all the windows up. That's the internet. Because you have no connection to the outside. Everything's soundproofed. You turn up your own little radio. You live in your own little world. Half the time, you're not even checking your fucking mirrors. You're just going straight. Especially if you live in Glendale, you're just going straight ahead. That's what you're doing. You're just driving straight ahead, not thinking about it. Mm-hmm. That's the internet. And then what happens when you post something, if you send me a shitty message, I come walk over and knock on the window of the car. And then you have to look at me and go, ugh. And then they roll down the window, and then I go, what's up, man? And they go, hey. And I go, what do you mean by this? And they go, well, actually, I didn't actually mean that. I go, okay. You want to have a real conversation about it? Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah. I could have learned about this, but what did you find interesting? And then most people that I do posts like that on, they become friends and they become fans. And so when I do that, the exchange rate, the swap rate is like 90%. Like,
yeah, that's really interesting. I you know what? Okay. This parallels perfectly for whenever a new student comes into a jiu-jitsu class, and especially one who's like really aggressive.
right.
They don't want to just beat the shit out of them so that they never come back. They actually want to turn them into a student.
Yeah.
And so you have to kind of walk that fine line of, still subduing them, but not making them feel like a total piece of shit so that they don't come back.
Yeah.
So there's some similarities there.
Yeah, I mean, dude, honestly, it comes down to like, I think a lot of people, and you're not the first one to say this, I've had big Hollywood directors and big studios and producers write to me and go, you put your negative reviews up? That's so ballsy. I go, why? It's not like someone's going to read a negative review that I post on my page and go, don't hire this guy. Timmy from fucking East Bumfuck just wrote like, movie sucks. Said like, now I'm not going to work for Marvel. Yeah. Like it just, I think at the end of the day, what I'm trying to do with 12 Cam, and the reason why you have to write to me and ask me permission to do it is that I want to make sure that you're engaging with me. I want to make sure that you're in the right mood before you watch the film. That's the point.
That's cool.
And if you go through that experience, you go, I don't like Russian, or I don't like to read things. I've had a lot of people go like, I don't like to read my movies. I go like, well then don't. And they go, oh, what? And I go, yeah. Like your opinion matters, I guess, but not really. And like my opinion doesn't really, like who gives a fuck? It's something I made back in 2015 and now I'm putting it out and people want to watch it. And if you don't like it, then, you know, you didn't have to pay for it.
Do you know who Joey Swoles is? Joey Swoles, right?
Joey Swole.
Joey Swole, excuse me. He's one of my favorite Instagram people now. And what I love about him, he's a fitness person, works out.
I would assume with the last name.
Yeah.
Swoles. Yeah.
But what I love, he promotes positive gym culture and calls people out on negative gym culture.
Oh, interesting.
And, you know, like I'll say the positive stuff he does first. You know, like sometimes, you know, there'll be a person who, like an older person who's trying to like, lifting some weights, right? And then some young guy comes up and be like, yeah, let's get it. And then like they share a joke or whatever. And they're like, and it's being videotaped, you know, and he's like, and so it's like a nice little video, you know, to like support each other at the gym rather than, you know. And then there's the really negative ones where there's been a lot of them recently where, you know, there is instances of women being harassed at a gym, right? But sometimes there would be women that he posts who are just literally setting their camera up like a wide angle and they're like doing their little weights or squats, and then some guy will literally just, you know, as you're walking by, you just look and then you continue looking and she's like, oh, disgusting, men are so gross. And it's like, and then he calls them out on it. It's like, hey, absolutely not, this is not okay, you shouldn't just he was literally just walking by, he did nothing wrong. And he articulates it very well and he calls them out. And a lot of times immediately I love seeing a post that he just posted because then I go to the other person's Instagram who he's calling out, and then their comment section is just flooded. And then after a few hours, usually it's like, oh, you can't comment on anything anymore, or their account has been deactivated. And I just love it.
Dude, you
should follow him. I think you'd get some tips on how to like deal with this.
What I try to do is I try not to put the person's name that puts these negative comments up. So when I do it, I just do usually like a screenshot, and it's just their thing, and I put it up there. And I had this one guy. And I was very intentional about it, where I baited him, where he started, and he was like, fuck your movie, some bullshit like that. And I go, oh yeah? You're like, that's all you have to say. It's like, oh yeah? And I go, yeah. You go, why? It's usually just like one word answers, and then they sort of go down this train of like, well, it was dumb, and you're dumb, and your mother should die. And you're like, do you know my mom? You know, and then you just bait them. Then I'm just like screenshot. And then I just post them. And I posted them up there without referencing who this guy was. And then hundreds of people are just like, this guy, the anger thing. And then he gets on the comments and he goes, I meant what I said. And I'm like, dude. And I write to him and I go, dude, you probably don't want to take credit for this. Like, you don't want to be the one taking credit for this. Your shit's going to blow up. I said, I'm going to go through. I'll do you a solid. I'm going to go through and delete your comments on it. He goes, leave my comments. And I go, dude. So then, you know, like a week goes by and he's like, everybody thinks I'm a piece of shit and this is going on. And I go, you did it to yourself, man. Like you put this stuff out on the internet. It is not an empty void, right? And I'm not here to make you look like a piece of shit. I'm just here to just essentially what I do is I just put a mirror up to what someone says.
Yeah.
That's really it. And then most of the time I go, really? That's it. That's usually what I write. Like, is this what you meant? And I would say, like I said, 90% of the time someone will get back to me and go, I didn't actually mean that. I was having a shitty day. Or like, and I go, I get it. You guys aren't connected. And that's the purpose. And they're like, well, what else are you doing? And I go, yeah. And this is and then we become friends.
Right.
And so it's an older brother trick, really. It's just like, you know, you're not so fucking important. I'm not important. You're not important. We all think we're so goddamn important about everything. And
is there any legal ramifications for posting a name? Producers?
No. It would be if it were something like slander.
Oh yeah.
You know, where you're demeaning their character, but you have receipts. This is just posting something, and it's not like it's private. you know.
So if like Peyton was bullying me on my messages, I could like screenshot it and it should be fine, right?
Yeah. And it is public stuff, or it is like the, you know,
Right.
I try to be as transparent about it as possible. And there have been times where I felt like people were being unfairly harassed by the fans, and so then I will then either pull it down or
You're nice.
I'll rally in the comments and go, "Come on, man! Like it's not this."
Right.
But I mean, there's a lot of benefits to it too, because like you know, speaking on the level that every fucking corporation does, negativity sells. So I will post 5 positive reviews, and I'll post a negative review. And what do I have now? 165,000 followers. On the positive, Instagram will decide 2,000 people should see this. On the negative, the same amount of time, Instagram will show it to 15,000, 20,000, 35,000 people.
Wow.
And so then that then gets out there, and then if you guys look at the comments underneath, people go, "What's this fucking movie? And what's happening? And what's going on?" And I know that you're going to look at that and go, "That feels manipulative." You go, "Well, wake the fuck up. That is exactly what everybody does right now. That is the entire industry. That is the entire planet. That's why negativity is everywhere."
Should I message you then? And we can get some good traction. Right. I should message you. Like,
Give me some shit. Yeah.
yeah, maybe on the maybe we should pull a clip from this. What should I do? Yeah, 12 kilometers. Hey, more like get me away from this film with 12 kilometers in distance. We'll be right back.
I thought this was a good podcast. That's why I drove all the way out here. I thought this was a good show.
Me too.
I thought that you were, you know, clever and smart.
Barely. It's all edited and posted by Peyton. We use an AI program.
I was going to say, your voice is like in some AI thing.
Yeah.
And even now they can change your mouth, so that could have been anything. Yeah.
Isn't that
I
terrifying?
may not be saying this. This may not be what I would normally say. This could be what your producers are typing in a keyboard right now, making it sound like I say this.
Yeah.
I don't actually say this kind of thing.
That's the future.
Yeah.
Dude, how close are we to literally putting in a paragraph prompt and having a short film being put out? Like maybe 5 years to where it's like pretty decent?
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny because you're talking to me. We talked offline about this, and I'm not going to get into details because I can't spoil anything, but I'm writing something new. Get fucked.
Come on, Mike.
Yeah.
Don't be a pussy.
Get fucked, dude. So I just spent, and this is a hot topic. I just spent probably a month and a half in Midjourney, which is, you know, the AI image prompter. Because I was basically, when you put together a new script and you send that script out to studios, you have to also do like a director's lookbook, which is like images and all that kind of stuff. And traditionally, what a director's lookbook would be are image pulls from other movies. So you would go like, "Oh, cool, let me grab some Sicario images, or let me grab some stuff from E.T." And then, you know, you put it in this lookbook, and then you'd go like, "Wow, the reason why I picked this image was because I like the colors here, and then I like the, the way people are staged here." And then you send that off to a studio exec, and the studio exec goes like, "Ooh, E.T., I like aliens." And you go, no, don't pay attention to the aliens, pay attention to... So it was always a flawed system, right? And if you're a director like I am, which is like very strong visually, like very strong tonally, I think it's important before you start to read a script to understand that, because you could read the same paragraph that I read and process it through whatever your childhood is or your favorite movies are and see a completely different movie in your head than what it would be. So the benefit of AI is that you can really dial in these images to be images that no one's ever seen before, because it runs out unique images every time you do a prompt. They may be based on things from all over the place, but they're unique. And then B, if it's a nightmare, it's like, I reference it to like me as a director turning to a 5-year-old, handing them crayons and going, "Hey, go draw me this lead actor." And then the kid goes in the room and comes out with this crazy fucking thing. And you're like, no, go back in the room. And that's all you're doing on there. Is you're just like, stop using red, you know, and just like trying to prompt it to do what you need to do, which is why I think my treatment book was 39 pages. It took me like hundreds of hours to get images for 39 pages that I felt represented the movie. And so AI's great for a lot of things. I think when it comes to image stuff, it's always referencing something that prior exists. And you know, people are concerned that, which you can do, you can go into AI and go like a film by Wes Anderson and have it create like this aesthetically pleasing Wes Anderson like image that it does. But if you're an artist and you're like, I want to get this image that's in my head through AI, it's the most difficult fucking thing in the world. It's so hard to do. Because like you're then trying to control it, where I think AI is like a really pretty, it's at least with image generation and video generation, it's a really pretty slot machine where you're like, pull, orange, cherry, this, fuck, pull, you know, and that's basically what you're doing for most of it.
It was so aggressive the way you were doing that.
I hate it. I hate it.
I
so
know.
much.
I could feel
it so much. Just like moments during the day where I'm just screaming at it, like, "What the fuck? Like, what are you doing?" And then me bringing images into Photoshop and going like, "I'm taking this out."
Yeah.
It sucks. Like, so
I like seeing you angry.
Oh, dude, do you listen to my show? Most people don't get to see me angry. They just listen to me. Like, there's a big joke with all my listeners, and they're like, Mike's going on a fucking rant. And even now, like, the guests will come on and go, oh, this is rant time. And I go, yeah, sorry, stand by. 15 minutes from now, we'll continue.
Yeah.
Rant.
Yeah.
Like, 'cause I'm just old and annoyed and pissed off. I'm like an old guy on a porch now, just screaming into my microphone.
In a Porsche?
No, on a porch.
On a porch.
In a porch.
Like, man, this guy's loaded. Just angry in the Porsche.
Get out of my way! My old 911. Get out of my way! No.
The car, not the tragedy.
Yes.
I just wanted to clarify for people listening. I just don't. Come on, guys. Oh shit! All right, we got to take a quick break. We'll be right back. And we're back. Yeah. Have you seen the AI memes that they're continuing these famous memes, like the Charlie bit my finger, but then it's continued on for a few more seconds with AI?
Oh, I have. I think I've seen a few of these. Yeah.
I'm obsessed with them on my TikTok feed.
It's cute. It's clever.
It's some of it's really scary.
Yeah. I mean, have you seen the album cover AI stuff?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh man,
where they extend out the album covers.
Some of the video movement where a person looks like a real person, I always feel like AI's what my dreams are like a lot of times.
Oh, right, because the water like vibe, sort of the way it flows and how unnatural things move.
Yeah, and it's like the melding of like a street.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, you know, I feel like it's very dreamlike for me in my mind, which makes me think, and this might be out of the box, but what if AI is just this slumbering demon consciousness that's just constantly in dream mode, and that one day, Mike, it's gonna wake up.
Yeah, it'll be when you start putting in a prompt. You'll just be like,
wake up.
Yeah, Mickey Mouse plays a guitar, and then suddenly it goes like, it's awake. Suddenly it's just
Mike Pecci,
a film.
happy.
A film by Martin Scorsese. Mickey Mouse plays a guitar. Aspect ratio 16:9, lens 32 millimeter.
Oh, this is a fun game. What is the worst film we can come up with? Worst short film, in the most interesting style. Oh, this is good. This is really good.
For what, on an AI prompt?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, Peyton, if you think of something, jump in. Alex, not you. Shut up, Alex. We're gonna talk later.
Terrible ideas.
Mike's not on.
I know.
Okay.
He controls it.
Awful movie prompts.
Okay. Gundam Wing in the style of a Wes Anderson.
Come on, though. Everybody's doing Wes Anderson. You got to go off the fucking rails. You got to be like, who was, like, who directed Road Trip? Like, you have to go to some.
Road Trip was great. What are you talking about?
But aesthetically, like, would you actually put?
Oh yeah.
Was it Todd Phillips that did that? I'm probably shitting on a great director. Who did Road Trip?
Road Trip for me had an atmosphere. That's what I liked.
Was it man, I'm a huge asshole if this is true. Was it what's his name who did the Hangover movies who then went on to do Joker? Was that who did
Joaquin Phoenix? No, I'm kidding.
I feel like I'm talking to an AI right now.
Todd Phillips.
It was Todd
Phillips.
Phillips.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I loved it. You didn't love it, but that's fine. It's on the record.
No. It's not that I don't love that movie. I wouldn't put that prompt in.
No, it's fine. This is the clip, and we're
Yeah. I wouldn't put that prompt in.
no. I got you. Oh man,
Yeah, because have you fucked with Midjourney at all? Have you messed with it?
who?
Have you played with Midjourney?
Midjourney? No, I have not.
What's going on?
Sorry, you guys hear that, right?
Yeah.
Hello? No, this is actually a little concerning.
I love how much this startles you.
It does.
Every single time. Anytime there's a slight like bump, he goes like,
What is going on?
Okay, first of all, that
only
is
the
so
audience could
no,
see.
that's so accurate.
no, that's so disrespectful and
go like-
exaggerated.
You guys heard that, right?
Listen, I go into I go into man mode because we're in North Hollywood here. We're not in the safest area, and we have some crazies that walk across the street. So I don't want a crazy to walk in
Yeah,
here,
but-
and start rummaging through our stuff.
But you go into like meerkat mode, where all of a sudden, like you're on a rock.
meerkat mode. You know what, Mike? Thanks for coming on the show, brother. Great pleasure.
You're just looking for birds at this point.
No, it sounded. Alex, are you alive?
Oh wow! No,
Damn.
Okay.
you missed an opportunity. That was an opportunity for you not to respond to that at all. It could have been like
Too honest.
that was an
I have a lot of
opportunity.
stories about me ruining things by being too honest.
What was that upstairs?
Nick's here.
Oh, Nick's here. Okay.
Yeah, he's
Fucking
jealous.
Nick Major has the second most popular show here on Adobe. Did you know that?
Who's the first?
Oh, us, of course, man. Yeah, Nick Major's show is second, and they get great numbers. Don't get me wrong. Great show, great interviewer, great host. But we're number one, so that's the way it works.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
I mean, you being a number, it's probably why you were able to get me back for a second episode.
You know what? I love that you came back, even though you're mean and.
I love how I was like sort of even tempered on the first episode. And now that you've just broken me down a little bit, you're getting the true me.
I think that if I come back on you guys' show, I'll have to come in with like a new persona. Maybe I should dress as a king.
Okay?
I don't know. I want to have a cape when I walk in next time. I'm not gonna tell Lance.
Well, we're gonna put you on an apple box.
By the way, that's so rude.
Here's your apple box and a broken mic stand that is just constantly sinking. Oh, royalties here.
Hey, I know Lance might be listening to this. He should be listening to this. But he just posted a picture of him in Vegas. He's got a new style thing, kind of a callback to like personal style. What's he dressing as nowadays?
I don't think I saw this picture of him in Vegas. I don't know. I mean, Lance
He's like from the 70s. Like it looks in a good way.
Oh yeah, he's always cool, man. He looks cool. We just, I won't get into specifics, but him and I, we talked about this offline. Him and I went and were extras, or featured extras in this project, a Western thing, and they had him dressed up as a priest, and he looked cool. Lance always looks cool.
Yeah.
He looks cool on film. He's one of those guys. That's why I shoot him a lot. Like, he's one of those guys that like, he's got a cool face. Cool. He's just cool as shit.
Yeah. Too cool sometimes, I feel like. Too cool for school.
Yeah. Well,
You know how he was sitting in my class, my acting class?
I believe it. He was so cool.
I was like, "Are you okay, sir?"
He was so cool. He was so cool that he melted. He was just done.
I know your temperament is similar to mine, and I am actually doing something for my mental health next couple days. I'm going to Big Bear.
Oh yeah, I did that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like it's helped me out tremendously. Is this something you do as well? You go out to nature, or you do something? Because I feel that's important to find that balance, whatever that's needed, and I'm trying to treat myself more often to those moments nowadays.
Yeah. I mean, I go through modes, right? I go through modes where really it just depends on how much sleep I've had.
Okay.
Yeah. And most of the time, I think I average maybe on a good night 5 hours of sleep.
What?
Yeah.
How do you wait? For real?
For real.
You can't sleep more than 5 hours.
It just depends. Like, yeah, pretty much. Like, it's like there's always something going on. There's always too much shit happening. There's like late nights where you're working on things and then wake up at fucking 9 o'clock, 8 o'clock.
Do you do any kind of like, I don't know, do you work out before you go to bed or in the mornings to kind of help a little bit?
Yeah, I do. Like this morning I did. Like this morning I get on my bike and I ride around the Hollywood sign every day. I try to do that. Not the Hollywood sign, but come on. The water that's down there, the reservoir that's down there.
Oh
So,
my God.
Yeah.
I don't know what face I made, but
I love that face. I love that face.
Oh man, I just imagined you because that's a
hill. Yeah.
That's a hill.
That's a hill.
I miss going running up there. I would go up there pre-dawn.
I recently did. Well, so you know where the Hollywood Reservoir is.
Yeah.
So then there's a path that you can take. So if you show up to there's like a dam, and there's a path that's right there that goes up. And if you follow that path up, that goes up to what was like Madonna's old house, which is like that big mansion. That's
I've been in there.
Yeah. You've been in there?
Yeah. Madonna. I don't want to bring it up. I mean, we'll edit this out, but me and Madonna have.
You've been in Madonna?
No, come on, man, Mike. This is Mike. What are you trying to do here, man?
Just checking. That's what you said.
I didn't say. I
I
said I
said
was
I've
in her
been
house,
in
man.
there. You didn't
I've been
say-
in Madonna's house.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, a lot.
I don't understand. Were
Just
you
my
like-
hand? What?
I don't understand. Were you a backup dancer?
No, actually, our past intern Zeke Duhan was her personal assistant for a long time.
Oh, wild.
Yeah.
That's cool, man.
Yeah. Zeke Duhan. He actually kind of messed up, but he went back to Oklahoma. Lost his arm recently. Farming accident.
Jesus.
Yeah. He's doing better now, but armless.
Jesus.
Mhm.
That reminds me of a story.
Okay. Whoa. Okay.
Yeah. So my mom will hate me for this. When we were kids, in the summer, we used to go to the Cape back in Massachusetts, Cape Cod. And down there, you'd go stay in cottages, and they had landfills. So you didn't have garbage that would get picked up on the street. Once a week, you would have to put your garbage in your car and drive it to a landfill, toss your garbage out. That was kind of the thing.
Oh, that's annoying.
Yeah, once a week. And that was part of the process as kids. We'd all pack into the station wagon. You'd have a bunch of bags of trash. You'd drive to the place, and me being the oldest son, I'd be the guy that was hucking the trash. Well, I remember one time we went there, and my mom, they were these dudes that worked at the dump. And most of the time when you think of dump dudes, you think of like old guys that are collecting things, probably a lot of like cigarette stains around their beards, like that kind of guy. But there was, there was this one day we show up and there's this incredibly attractive gentleman, like stacked, like muscular, like He-Man without his outfit on, like just big dude. It's hot out, and I just didn't know I didn't recognize or notice him until I was looking at my mom, and my mom was acting weird. She's driving and she was just staring off the whole time, and I go, "What are you looking at?" And she was like, "Oh, nothing." And I look over and there's this muscular guy that's just tossing like brush and shit into this like toothy fucking grinding machine. Mm-hmm. And so I said, I made fun of her. I was like, "Oh, Mom's gonna crush on the dump guy," And so then we went back a few times. We went back there a few times, and the guy was like, he'd wave or do something. And then my mom would like enjoy going to the dump. She's gonna hate them. She would enjoy going to the dump, to see the dump guy, And one time we show up to the dump and no dump guy.
Oh.
And we're like, huh. Next time we show up, no dump guy. He's not there anymore. And so I go, to one of the guys, I go, where'd the dump guy go? Where'd the dump guy go? They go, well, he didn't let go of the branch. It ripped his arm. Took his whole arm off.
Whoa.
Like sucked it in the machine. Took his whole arm off.
That sucks.
Sucks.
Yeah.
And then I went in the car and I was like, so, dump guy's dead. That's what I told my mom. Just broke her little heart.
Yeah.
So when you said your buddy lost his arm, that's what I thought it was, the dump guy.
Wow. The fragility of life.
And this guy was svelte, you know. He's
Yeah.
out there like spraying himself down, and
Well, Zeke, luckily, is still alive, but he's not good looking or like attractive in any kind of sense. So
you should go to the dump, get in shape.
yeah, he looks like he would be a traditional dump guy.
Well, apparently those guys have a superpower because they never get pulled into the chippers. It's
Except
just
for
a-
that guy.
No, this guy was like a hot dude.
Yeah.
This guy was, he was a little overzealous. Got a little too close to the sun. You know what I'm saying?
Gosh. Zeke will be turning off this episode.
We're just off the fucking rail.
We've got another 30 minutes of this.
I love it, man. It's one of my favorite things to do is go on other people's podcasts and just go off the rails because I'm usually trying to keep my show together. So it's one of my favorite
Well,
things to do.
I bring this up. I really need to change my algorithm on Instagram and Twitter. I see a lot of people dying.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, like people getting hurt. I'll send you some. Do you like that kind of stuff or no?
sure.
Okay, I'll send you stuff.
Yeah. Also, I'll fuck up your algorithm.
Please.
There you go. Yeah.
Let's just send each other stuff. Like, let's try to ruin each other's day. I feel like.
Yeah. There was a period when I was younger. You know, I'm from Boston, so we're, cold-hearted little assholes sometimes. And I lived in a house with a bunch of dudes that all worked in the business, and it was probably like 6 of us that were in this house. And we would just sit around and watch, like, early days of the internet. So we would watch, like, terrible stuff. And now as I get older, I'm sort of filtering through it. I had this whole conversation the other day with my fiance, and she'll get mad at me for bringing the story up, but I will. She was watching this video. She was watching this TikTok with this woman that was making a big deal over her pet crab. So she has a pet crab, like a crab.
Okay.
And so this crab was molting. And so she's just filming this thing, which essentially is the crab growing out of its shell and trying to push its shell off. And apparently it was described to me that there's a lot of stressful things with this. Like the crab, if it doesn't get out of its shell, gets stuck in its shell, then it could die. And it's this whole thing. And you're watching this thing that could be on National Geographic if it was filmed better, right? And if it was edited well. But I'm essentially just watching this thing and just listening to the woman that runs the thing just go through a fucking panic attack and go through this anxiety of like, oh my God, it's not moving, and like all of this sort of anxiety fueled stuff. And I know why my fiance is into it, because she's into the animal and she's into the stuff, but it's also like this like anxiety fueled algorithm that of like, and this is like, it takes a fucking while for it to molt. So, and this is just in the house. It's just running. And I just hear it. Like in the other room, I hear, it's like there's a woman in the other room, like freaking out, like the whole time. And I'm like, Gina, can we not do the crab thing? And she gets mad. She gets mad at me. She's like, you just don't like the crab thing. And I go, no, it's just crazy. It's crazy town. And she's like, no. And I'm like, honey, I'm trying to get these out of my life. Like when I was a kid, I used to watch this stuff because I thought it was great. But now, like I'll have PTSD. I've never been to war. I've never been a soldier in war. But I'll have PTSD for all the horrible videos that I saw. Like horrible videos that like there's a beheading video. Like now I've been part of that. Like, and so you got to be real careful with the internet. You got to be real careful with what you're feeding yourself and the anxieties that you're feeding yourself. And you got to watch your fucking algorithm. And I feel like that's the theme of the show. It's like negativity is the internet. Negativity brings you followers. Negativity brings you attention. Negativity will bring you sponsors, like all of that. And it's, it's taxing. Really, really fucks you up, man.
Absolutely. Listen, real quick, our time here on Adobe Radio has come to an end. However, the show continues on for you live listeners. Tune in tomorrow morning. Tune into YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to podcasts or whatnot. And if you want to follow and watch Mike's movies, give him a message at Mike Pecci.
Yep.
Instagram.
Yep. Send
Awesome.
me your 3 favorite horror movies. DM me your 3 favorite horror movies if you want to watch 12 Cam.
Awesome. The show continues on. Well, I think this will be a nice little
Reset.
just a nice little way to. Speaking of disturbing videos, I'm gonna gauge your reaction on a couple videos right now,
Oh, cool.
and then we'll see how you react, and depending on your reaction, I'll know what to send you in the future. I think that's only fair because I don't want to send you something and then you're like, oh, weird, I can't find Mike's Instagram account anymore.
I love how passive aggressive that is too, where it's just like, I keep putting in his name and it's just not coming up.
Okay, so this is our first one. This is friendly. I think this is PG friendly for everyone. Okay.
Hai merda.
Right?
Hey, look, I've got neighbors like this in Glendale.
Okay, so that one's
This
okay.
is like my neighbor in Glendale watering her plants every day.
Not bad at all.
Not bad at all.
Not bad at all. All right. And now, I get a feeling that the spotter, this is something Lance would do. You know, just depending on Lance's build, you know, I feel like this is Lance as a spotter. And yeah, called him out. All right, so yeah. Uh-oh. Oh.
It's all about his head getting pinned on the bench.
I mean,
Look at that.
Does nothing. Like, he's almost scared of it, right?
Yeah, because if you touch it, then you also might be a moron.
He grabs.
Like he's got the body mass to pick him up
Right.
as well as the weight.
Just like a half second before, you see, right, like when both arms are just off the bar, and then it's right there. He's like, oh no, like look at the weight on his neck.
Dude, I see this differently. I see this as him seeing an opportunity to finally be able to give this guy a hug.
Oh,
Like this is like before, like it takes having a set of weights around this guy's neck for him to open up to this guy.
okay. Well, this is the last one. This is the last one, and we'll end it on this. A nice.
Like
And honestly, you know who I feel bad for this? And I mean this truly. The animal involved. I hate when animals are involved in this kind of stuff.
Okay.
Yep, they're walking, running, and then he put her in front of him.
She's like an airbag. This is my wife and my airbag. He just put her in front. It's protection. It's protection. I mean, come on. If it's you and me out there.
I mean, that's all instinct. I think wasn't even thinking.
But
of it.
I think that's premeditated. I mean, if you watch the early version of this clip, he's always behind her.
Oh, you know what?
Yeah, he's always.
I didn't even think about that.
They're not going to a dance right now. It's not
No.
like they're, he's not being, there's no chivalry here.
No.
What? And if you look at this from a cruel standpoint, maybe it's like she's just scared, and he's just like, no, I'll be here with you. I'll protect you. I'll hold you. And,
Anyway, so I know what to send you now. You handled it great.
Dude,
You're like, shit. Hey, really appreciate you coming on the show today.
yeah, thanks, man. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being here. That's what I always.
I
say.
had to. I had to be here.
That's what I always. You can tell I just went into fucking autopilot. Thanks for being here. Appreciate you on the show. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for listening. I'll see you next Tuesday. Yeah,
Looking forward to your new stuff, whenever that may be, and keep us updated.
yeah, man. Thank you. I appreciate you guys. And come listen to my podcast. You should be plugging my podcast.
You do a podcast?
Get the fuck out of
No,
here.
I didn't know that. Did you really?
Get the fuck out
No,
of
I
here.
really didn't. I didn't know you do. I thought you just do movies or stuff.
What
You just do movies, right?
So yeah. Well, that time you came to my house,
Yeah.
those microphones weren't plugged in. That was playtime.
Well, come on, Mike. I thought that was Lance's podcast. That's what he kept telling me. He said you were his assistant or something.
It's true. It's true. It's true. One of us is a star.
I might wear the same tank top then.
If you come,
Yeah.
Good news. Our show, we don't videotape our shows.
Well, then I'll wear two. Whatever that means.
You don't have to wear anything.
If people want to listen to your shows, where can they listen to them?
If you listen to, just go to inlovewiththeprocess.com. All the shows are up there. And then you can listen to the shows in Spotify, Apple Podcasts, In Love with the Process, Right Place, Right Time, Love a Sandwich. Tons of shows. Too
Awesome.
many shows.
All right. Follow at Mike Pecci. Peyton, play us out. Thanks for tuning in. If you're watching on YouTube, hit the subscribe button, comment below, and let us know if you've seen Mike's films and how much you hate them or love them. And always remember to listen, think, and then talk. Bye.
Bye-bye.